London Property, home of Super Prime, where you can find informative, educational and entertaining content covering all aspects of property.
Hello and welcome to London Property, home of Super Prime. I'm your host Farnaz Fazaipo, and today we're in conversation with Muriel Abacassis, who finds herself navigating the complicated world of property in Super Prime London after getting divorced. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Farnaz. Good morning.
So you really weren't expecting to find yourself in this situation, to navigate this by yourself while you're trying to deal with all the other emotions that come with starting all over again. So your first challenge was trying to find a house to rent, is that right?
Actually, my first challenge was to find an agent that I could trust and will help me understand the market and navigate through the process. Because I think it's all come through somebody like me who didn't have any knowledge. I wanted to have advice, and I wanted to have the right advice from somebody who knew my lifestyle and what I would like and not like. So I think that would be really, really the initial step. And for me, it was a lifesaver, finding the right or two right persons.
And was that just challenge, or was it quite easy?
Well, I was lucky enough to know somebody and to be introduced by somebody. I think it's all about word of mouth. It's all about recommendation. And it's like everything else. If somebody has been working for somebody and you knew that they were happy with the result, then you have validation and you have trust. It was very, very useful because some other people were telling me, you don't need search agent, you don't need help, you're grown-up woman. Well, I was supposed to, and then, but it's so time-consuming. You go on the website. I mean, you see so many things, and you go and see things, which I think is really, really key in my experience. Is you go and see things which are on the market, and if you have a search agent or a good real estate company that will show you things before they are on the market, because I came to the conclusion that it's all about timing. And there are very few good products at a certain level. And if you want to have a good product at a good price, they go instantly. So you want to be not on time, you want to be ahead of the game. And what I found out by experience is you really make very good deal when you get properties that are not on the market because the price haven't escalated.
Right. So although people say you don't need anybody to help you because all the information is available, you actually need someone to go through all of this information and then get you access before other people.
Yeah, and you need a little bit more from those people. You need them to have network and privileged network, so they will probably have contact with either other agency or with some direct owner. So you will be able to see the property before they are distributed to everybody.
So that would be your biggest advice to somebody else in your position, is make sure you're recommended to somebody who has these qualities.
And then you trust them, you test them, because it's all about, when you brief somebody, they have to understand what you like, what you're going to like and not like. And you don't want to spend your days seeing property, whatever it's for rent or buying, that don't suit your need or don't suit your style. And what I found very, very useful is when those agent or property agent, they relate to your lifestyle,
So they live in a similar
they live
area,
in a similar
they
area.
understand.
They have probably experienced your expectation and your style and what you're going to be looking for into a property. Because at the end of the day, it's very personal,
Yeah. So talking about, so you started obviously with the rental before you bought a property. So what are your kind of top tips with the rentals, apart from finding the right agent? Did you feel that you ended up renting something that was priced rightly? I mean, what are your do's and don'ts? What did you wish you knew before you actually went into that contract?
I think it all depends if you're under pressure or not. And it depends on timing, because if you need to find something very, very quickly, you have less leadway. I will say one other tip: if you see something, take it instantly,
Right, don't think that there's a better deal around the corner.
No. because it's like buying a flat. There are few property that are top, top premium, and you just don't have time to think about it. And even be proactive, try to know if somebody else is interested and maybe offer a little bit higher so you don't lose the property.
So the competition is quite fierce then for
Very
availability.
fierce, very fierce. And I was trying even to, I was asking, there's one tip actually, I was asking to have appointment day after 8 o'clock in the morning. And if they were saying, well, they start at 10, can you ask exceptionally for them to make me see the flat before? And I wanted to make sure, if I knew it was a good flat, to be the first one, and I will try to lock it down immediately. I mean, you have to be quite
Right.
quite proactive.
So don't underestimate that you're in a race.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so you found your property to rent, and was it easy going through the paperwork?
Yeah.
That was quite straightforward.
I mean, I was lucky. It was quite. The first one was very highly priced. I was a little bit in a rush. I was coming out of the of the divorce. I mean, it was a big transition. And the property I took was the thing about renting is if you want furnish, it's very hard to find property with nice furniture because some of them are just made to rent, so it's quite run down. So I paid quite a lot on this property, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to settle. And the paperwork was very easy because the management agent was amazing.
Okay.
It's all about, actually, that's a really good point. Actually, is when you rent, you should check who managed the building. And, if you have problem with the heater and electricity or the water, do they have somebody to be able to help you? And this property, they had like a 24 hours service, which was amazing. I remember even like during Christmas, I couldn't put off the fireplace that I was trying. And I thought I'm going to put the building on fire. And there was a number and the gentleman called me like at midnight, So they were very, very useful.
Right. Okay. So knowing who the landlord is before you go into something.
It's not it's the management, the person, if they have a team,
Yeah.
or if they use a management company that provides you a service.
Yes. No, I understand that. But because when I say knowing who the landlord is that when you're dealing with a landlord of multiple units, their setup is more likely to be a professional service set up to look after all of their properties. So you're more likely to get what you're referring to. Whereas if it's an individual who owns one property because they accidentally became a landlord, they inherited it, or they moved on from their single life to their married life, or what have you, then they might not have as much experience in providing you that backup. So once you were settled in your rentals, then you had to start the search all over again to try and find something to buy.
Yeah, but I also at the same time try to search a cheaper rental because you see the price fluctuates. And when I was renting the first time, I think it was just like around COVID. So there was very, very few properties. And one of the tips for renting before we move into buying is I thought this is really, really expensive. I mean, it was almost 2 or 3 times the price, of a similar property just a few roads away. And I think it's about don't give up and be persistent. So I decided that because I was going to buy, I wanted to move to something cheaper. And I couldn't find something. So I took a property which was, I think, was like a muse that I didn't like much. But I thought I want to save the money. But I still looked and then I found something else. So sometimes it's like really, really, really last minute. So, you have to keep on going and don't give up and still look.
Don't settle for something that you're not that happy with, especially when you're going through all those changes in your personal life. The last thing you want to do is go home and be depressed.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've now moved into your second rental, and all of this has happened in what period of time?
Like a year and a half.
In a year and a half.
Yeah.
You moved twice in rentals.
Yes.
While still looking.
Yes.
So there's a lot of pressure on you whilst you're trying to adjust with everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
So,
but I was very lucky because the second property I rented was in the same street of my ex-husband. I mean,
That's
I was
very
happy.
lucky. Well, I'm sure he'll be really pleased to hear that, yes.
I mean, I was very happy because it was, my street and, the neighborhood and for the children. And the flat is amazing. And the agent was so good. And then, talking about the agent, I got this flat through London Property. And whenever there's a question, I can call them. And they've been really, really helpful.
So this was one of our experts who helped you?
Yes, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to know. We do handpick them, so I hope they perform.
Yeah, they do.
So you've now moved in close to your ex-husband, which you're very happy about.
Yeah.
And then you carried a blessing in disguise. And then you carried on looking to find something to buy. And talk us through that. How did that differ from the rental experience?
So it's a little bit more complex because I had to understand, when I divorced, my challenge was like the washing machine, the 3 holes where I put the liquid. And then I had to buy, on my own a property. So there was a lot to learn. But, but it's a little bit more complicated because I had to understand the lease system, and if I wanted to buy short lease or long lease, if I wanted a mortgage or not, and how will that work. The area that I knew more or less. And then there were technical things like I have to read my notes. I can remember the name. What was it? Something you have to pay extra. Oh yeah, the fees, the service charge and the ground rent. You know, like for example, you have to know, have they done the building? If not, when will they do it? Because that will be on you based on the timing you're going to buy it. So I had to understand the price structure, the different elements. So, but little by little, if you have a good, your search advisor or your property advisor will be your advisor in general, and they will advise you on everything. If you need a mortgage, they will provide you with a mortgage specialist. They will provide you with lawyer. They will provide you with anything. So, I think it's better to have as a rental if you have one good person. They will introduce you and explain you to all the process and all the person you have to interact with.
Okay, which you can now also find on our experts directory, because this is exactly what we do. For the entire real estate experience, we will have handpick experts who can help along the way. And also our podcasts, because with our podcast, what we do is we actually have technical discussions with these individuals. So if you wanted to find out what does it mean about the leasehold, and how do I go about getting a mortgage, and what are the tax implications of what I do, then we can give you podcasts for that to listen to. And
also some of the podcasts I listened was gazumping.
Gazumping, yes.
Yeah. It happened to me.
Right.
And it was really interesting because sometimes when things happen to you and you're not aware of the market and the dynamics, you can take it personal.
Right.
And then you realize, what, it's actually part of the business and it's part of the market. So I found it's all about learning. It's about getting educated, if it's a new market, a new industry. So any knowledge, especially from people with experience and similar, you want to have knowledge that it's in your category you can relate to.
Yeah. Yeah, like and honestly, after 30 years in the industry, I can tell you that not a single day is the same. Every day is different, and every situation is different. So I completely hear you when you say that, you've got to get the knowledge to be within the category that you require. So you happen to have bought a flat and you needed to know about service charges and ground rent.
Exactly.
You'd have a whole set of new things if you were buying a house, for example.
Yeah.
So it's done and dusted now. You're done with property.
Done with property. I got the keys, and now I'm going into the second stage where I'm going to renovate my purchased property.
Right. So we're going to have you back after you
Oh,
finish with that experience,
yeah.
because we want to hear all about those challenges. But this time we can guide you, and you can go to, as I say, to our experts and find help every step of the way.
I'd love to.
Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to hear that people can make use of our experts in our directory that are handpicked for super prime Londoners that find themselves in a situation where they need a friend of a friend to tell them what to do. So head over to our experts directory, or if you have any questions, then please send us an email to ask@londonproperty.co.uk.
Thanks for listening to the London Property Podcast. Head over to londonproperty.co.uk and subscribe to our newsletter to receive latest updates.